What is up, killers? Kev here, and today back with a brand new episode of Skyrim Special Edition. Today we are going to be looking at all of my graphic mods within the base game. This is going to be for Xbox One. PlayStation 4 one is to follow very shortly, but without further ado guys, let's just jump straight into the video. Far better sun. A lot of people do and don't like this particular mod. A lot of people say that the god rays in quotations are far too strong. I personally think they're very realistic for this particular mod. If you look at the sun, you're going to be blinded by the sun. It's like when you go outside, the sun is incredibly powerful on your eyes. Just don't look at the sun, which I've done in these clips just to make an emphasis on that it is going to be somewhat of a realistic feel to the sun. Bigger trees are going to be self-explanatory going into this particular sort of clip. They are far larger trees, so for instance forest areas or even just in sort of settlements or even cities, they are going to be far larger than you would see within the base game. If you look at the trees within the base game, they're incredibly small, a little bit lackluster if I'm perfectly honest, a little bit boring, a little bit dead. For me, I want to see a massive trees. I want to see some towering trees. The scaling should be off the chart. Remember, this game is pretty old and the world of Tamriel is old as well, and obviously some of those trees have been around for thousands of years. Let's bring in a little bit of immersion to the game. We're not having baby trees or bushes. It's absolutely stupid, so this mod is really cool and interesting for me. Another mod that I do really enjoy, I'm not too sure if this is clashing once again with other different things. I don't think it is personally, but I really do love this one. It's a collection of Cities of Skyrim retextures Overhaul. This has loads of other different settlements such as Markarth, Rift and Solitude, and your boy's favourite, Whiterun. A lot of people do say that they love the look of my Whiterun going through my particular videos. Obviously don't do playthroughs, but visually looking at my game, a lot of people really do like the textures that are on my Whiterun. Again, they follow for other different cities as well, so please do feel free to grab this one, not just for Whiterun. Maybe your favourite city is Solitude. This one is a great grab to get as well. Completely changes pretty much 99% of all of the textures going along to the buildings. Next spot for weather is going to be Dolomites Weather and Lighting. I personally have had this for ages. Loads of people have had this one, and I think there's another one out there. I think it's called Mythical Ages Weather. Not too sure what the difference is, but between that, I adore Dolomites Weather. I think it's really cool. I think the clouds are very realistic. I think with, as I say, far better sun, and the sunsets to do with the clouds and the colour contrast are really, really nice too. The lighting is finesse. This one's been around for pretty much donkeys. As I say, this mod playlist is going to be my bread and butter. Not going to be changing anything anytime soon unless something really dramatic comes out. But as I say, this is a base for me and for all of my videos that you do see, and this is how I get the effect on it. Straight after that is going to be dense grass. This mod has a ton of grass foliage within Skyrim. It just boosts it absolutely insane. For instance, there's a lot of patches within Skyrim that don't have a lot of grass generally. Obviously, we need to have a few patches that don't have grass. I don't want everything covered in grass. I've never had any FPS drops within my particular game. I know I'm running an X and a PS4 Pro, but to keep that aside, this particular load order isn't really hammering or chugging the graphics that much. But yeah, this is sort of an overhaul to do with the graphics. There's a lot more grass too. Again, beautiful with other different mods such as the Lush Overhaul and Realistic Water 2. Maybe some Dolomites Weather. It all comes together so beautifully, and we're going to be covering a lot more to do with graphics. I might even do a separate graphics video. I'm not sure. Let me know your thoughts on that. But straight after that is going to be Realistic Water 2. Now, everyone should be having this on their load order. I don't care who you are, but this one changes everything to do with the water. Lakes, ponds, meshed water. So for instance, along the banks, ocean water no longer flowing in a particular direction. Lakes, rivers, absolutely beautiful. Even some of the sound effects too are changed with this one. Ponds are going to be silent to give you that more of a feel. It is absolutely insane. Waterfalls and streams, rivers have never been the same. Honestly, I remember seeing this one on the Nexus when it came out. Absolutely donkeys ago. This mod is super old, but I remember coming out and I just fell in love with it instantly. Could not believe it. It is very true to the title. It is extremely realistic. Lush Overhaul is another mod that I think everyone should grab if you are looking at sort of colourful foliage around your world. 110%. This mod edits the meshes of the trees, the plants, and all of the other different things that are in the maker within Lush. So flowers, they are going to be changed. I think lily pads are even included within this particular mod. I adore this mod. You'll definitely notice a difference if you do not have a Lush Overhaul, aka this particular mod. This one adds so much floorage to the game, it is perfect. Tree LOD 23. I've had this mod for quite some time now. It increases the shadowing and the convenient way that trees are placed within the LOD. If you are sort of one of those people that do like see quite far in the distance, this is kind of a mod to grab. Personally, you don't know it too much, but it just sort of sits within the back. And again, this is only 4 megabytes, but the terrain is more detailed going throughout the world. More colorful critters. I've had this one again for a very long time. I love this mod. I think it's really nice. I think it's so beautiful. It adds again to that sort of simplistic overhaul graphic effect. This one adds over 1,000 hand-placed plants in many different workspaces to do with Skyrim. There's over 150 different kinds of bugs and fish to be added within the game. Pretty much get everything within this one. If you haven't tried this one, I would recommend trying this one. I've had it for ages and I absolutely adore it. TLS Lighting Overhaul. Again, another beautiful mod. Changes almost the lights to a beautiful radiant white instead of a manky yellow tinge if you are possibly sitting around candlelight. That does make sense. It's not that realistic to the game to pick up on different things, but by going through dungeons or even settlements, it will pick that up as a white. Another TLS greenified 1K straight underneath another TLS mod. I love TLS mods. He's been around an absolutely staggering amount of time. Probably tried out all of his mods on my own other different series on the channel. It's basically a filler for the places that are really boring within the game. I absolutely love this one. I think it's really nice indeed. Again, it ties in with all my other different graphic overhaul mods, my grasses and everything else. Sort of a brown sludge running through your game, you know, with obviously your grass mods and everything else, which look really cool indeed. This one adds sort of a little bit more immersion, that there is grass practically everywhere, but obviously not as built up areas as in other ones. Obsidian Mountain Fog is another must mod to grab for those people who do want the immersive and realistic feel. For this one, it adds the fog around the top and tips of the mountains or even high points within the game. It's a simple plugin that just adds it straight in. It's kind of giving that mystical feel to the Skyrim wilderness. Climbing to the clouds essentially doesn't work once you're above them, looking down at them. I don't think it works too much on that side. I think it's when you're below. As you can tell, they're bellowing and blitzing straight across those mountain peaks, which look absolutely gorgeous. Modify city inns. Now, we do have another mod slightly similar to this particular mod, but for this particular one, it does change the main ones within the base game. This is going to be your main settlements, so the Banner Mare, the Drunken Huntsman, the Silverblood Inn, Bee and Barn, loads of the main cities, so Whiterun, Solitude, Markarth and Riften, all of those particular ones and more obviously. They're going to be added loads of exterior, interior, be heavily immersive, and basically a revamp of those boring and lackluster inns within the vanilla base game. We've got another one of those, so stick around for those, which I do believe does the smaller ones within the base game. Grey's Dense Forest, it makes sure that all of the surrounding areas to do with the forest have been essentially filled within the vanilla base game. Going through a forest, it's kind of like walking through like not even a woods. I mean, a wood's got more populated trees, but imagine only a few different trees. Like go and walk down the park, for instance, and they're declaring that as a forest. No way is that a forest. I want something that's built up with loads of trees. There's so many trees randomly placed within this one, and it goes great with all my other different tree mods. Detailed terrain and tree LOD, once again, for seeing very far away, like what a PC would have, just because it has that sort of compatibility to do that one. I'm trying to sort of reassemble that within the Xbox. This one you can see very far away, all that detailing and so on and so forth. This works best probably when you're higher up, as you can tell on the screen now. It's obviously not going to be like for like what you would see 10 meters in front of you all the way in the distance. Let's have a little bit more of a realistic look at this, guys. Realistic pine trees, does what it says on the tin, but this one is improves the pine meshes, adds real 3D branches to the game up close, and as well they do look absolutely gorgeous from afar. The height and the stature is definitely going to be there with these particular trees. JK's Skyrim all-in-one, again done by JK. But this particular one is a lore-friendly, script-free overhaul to cities and towns of Skyrim. Vanilla themed, greatly adds a bunch bunch of immersive and important things to the game, I feel like. For instance, Riverwood adds a ton of different things to the lumber mill, also a ton of different things scattered around Riverwood. Or instead, it's going to be farming. Falkreath is going to be the graveyard. Dawnstar for the port. I do believe this adds a whole entire new ship with a bunch of other different sort of things darted around the city, which is really nice indeed. HD photographic ivy enhanced textured detail version. There are two different versions of this one. I thought I'd snag this one. It's only 5 megabytes of a download, but as you can tell, the ivy within the game looks pretty realistic. I'm not being funny. This looks absolute gorgeous. Hopefully the mod author can make other different things to do with the photorealistic sort of HD vibe to do with things. For this download size, maybe a little bit more, I would be very happy for that, because this blew me away when covering it within one of the 5 brand new console mods. TLS Undullified, I've had this again for extremely long time. What this mod does is it takes out the sort of dull, dreary look to the weather and some of the colours to do with your foliage going around the world. This just makes it pop a little bit more. You can't see it in this video, or can't see it in a comparison between your gameplay and mine. There is actually a couple of videos out there, and if not, there is a couple of images on the Bethesda.net website to do with this mod if you find it. But again, less than 50 kilobytes of a download. Enhanced vanilla grass, again, this one is pretty much self-explanatory. Increases the grass density value into Skyrim using some of the creation kit from all grass types, including DLC, so do not worry about that. Increases the grass size, probably twice the amount that you would see in the vanilla game. Gives it that little bit more of a dense feel too. Unlocks hidden vanilla grass textures. Not too sure about what they were, but we're going to carry on anyway. And changes the grass density, turning it into files 60 instead of the default of 20. Shadows, everyone should be grabbing this one again for the immersion side of things, if not a realistic point of view. It works with so many different things within the game. No performance issues whatsoever with this particular one. I do believe it was a port from the nexusmods.com. Not too sure, but this one is just really cool. I remember this one coming out. 4K Stars and Galaxies. This is the night cycles that it does change within the game. It's going to be 4 different versions with 2K stars scattered around, and put this under your weather mod. So obviously this is right below my Dolomites Weather. Has worked ever since. Again, I covered this in one of the top 5 and just fell in love with it. Leafeater's Whiterun Tree Overhaul. Again, this one is very simple. It just adds trees to Whiterun. Works with JK Skyrim too, which I'm really grateful of, just because JK Skyrim adds a few other different trinkety bits to Whiterun, which makes it look a little bit more full, a little bit more lively. And with the trees to do with this particular mod, it just encumbers that all together. Lush Trees, which works really well with a few other different mods, especially with those 3D branches. For this one, it just makes trees a lot more lusher. More branches, more textures. Vanilla trees are really bad within the game, especially as a special edition sort of overhaul and a remake version in quotations. But for this one, it just looks great. I think they look beautiful. I think they look very realistic from afar. Up close, obviously not, but from probably about 100 yards, they look really, really realistic, that is for sure. Very enhanced indeed. Unique grasses, this is going to be scattered around the world. You're going to find these probably everywhere. They are just unique grasses to that particular biome. Work really well and fair with all my other different sort of landscape overhaul textures, or mods shall we say. Just really finesse, incredibly low download size, and just scattered around quite nicely too. Small Inns Overhaul, this is the one I was saying. Obviously we looked at the other one, which is the main cities, the main settlements. Changes all the mods within this one. This one does all of the smaller ones. So for instance, you've got the Four Shields Taverns, the Wind Peaks Inn, Nightingale Inn, Frostfoot Inn, Sleeping Giant Inn, Riverwood. It's not a main settlement. You see what I mean? Smaller sort of towns and cities, which, no, smaller towns that we see. Cities are going to be the other one. So this one does sort of the smaller settlements to do with the inns. Again, adds a bunch of different stuff for this particular one. Adds loads of other different decor, inside, outside. It just works really well. Compatible with JK Skyrim. TLS Water Change. Again, this one makes it, as you can tell, a little bit more of a fantasy look. It's not a realistic look, but I just love this one. I think it's really cool. The color and how it moves is really unique to this particular mod. Really, really quite vibrant when you think about it. It's kind of blinding, but I really do like that. That's kind of my feel. You don't have to have this one. This is what I got in my mod load order. Solitude Remake just enhances the overall look to Solitude itself, makes it sort of a vendor or a market city, which it does portray in the base game, but via this mod. Looking at it now, it really doesn't. So this mod definitely enhances that sort of feel to do with Solitude. Imperial Agents 1992's enhanced console graphics. This is going to be version 1. I know there is version 3 out there, but for this one it does make the graphics look a lot more crispier. The environments are going to be a little bit more stable. Overall, it's going to be running my rig a lot more smoother in a sense. This is not compatible with any of the lighting mods you do have within your game. It just crisps up the whole gameplay to look a little bit more fresh, a little bit more of a lively look. You can try other different versions. I might try other different versions, but this is the standard load order for 2019. I'm going to have a little play in 2020. Green Tundra, via looking in first person, you will be able to see the landscape of this one. Replaces the yellow yuckness that is filled with the landscape in the Whiterun hold to a beautiful green, gorgeous look. I love this one. I covered this yet again in another 5 brand new console mods, and I fell in love with it. It definitely did change my experience, and as you know, Whiterun is going to be my hold and changes so much to do with that. So guys, that's the end of my video. This has been my graphics mods for the past I'd say year or so. 2019 definitely. Let's see what the sort of load order or my graphics will change within this year. Guys, thanks ever so much for watching. This has been Killerkev, and Killerkev out.